welcome to a new season of Tom Myers versus the rest of the world. Since the previous episode recording, Donald Trump has been indicted for multiple crimes in multiple jurisdictions, but I'll do what his legal team wants to do. Delay dealing with them until later in this episode. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell froze when he was asked if he was going to run for re-election in 2026. To be fair, he was probably thinking whether he was going to still be alive then. Lauren Boebert was escorted from a theater during a live performance for vaping, singing, and recording during the show. How embarrassing, her getting kicked out, and she wasn't even with someone who was exposing themselves in public. And the show was a musical about Beetlejuice. It's a kid's show. If she doesn't want to be associated with socializing with predators, she shouldn't be hanging around at a place for kids. I have a theory that she went to see the Beetlejuice musical because Beetlejuice's teeth are like those of her supporters. It's a shame Lauren Boebert didn't get kicked out of the Barbie movie, because then the audience would have felt sorry for her and thought, it's a shame they're kicking out one of Margot Robbie's stand-ins. New Jersey Senator Bob Menendez has been indicted once again on corruption charges after cash and gold bars were found in his closet and safe deposit box. Bob Menendez missed a golden opportunity for his defense. He should have said he got those items from George Santos. Chuck Todd officially stepped down as the moderator of Meet the Press, and he bid farewell in a rather sentimental goodbye on social media. In return, of course, he faced a brutal roast from the internet, who wished that he not so much as step down from the role of moderator as step off a curb in front of an oncoming truck. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. wanted to debate Dr. Peter Hotez on the efficacy of vaccines. Dr. Hotez won't do it, presumably because it's impossible to get 90 minutes out of vaccines work and you're a fucking idiot. Threads has started as an alternative to Twitter. I was optimistic that it was going to be free of racists and sexism until I heard it was run by Mark Zuckerberg. Then I thought, fuck it, never mind. Anyway, it's a great chance for me to promote my Mastodon account. The Jack in the Box restaurant chain has opened a Snoop Dogg themed chain in California, which explains why everyone who has eaten there no longer has glaucoma. Networks are considering taking reruns of That 70s Show out of syndication because of star Danny Masterson's rape conviction. I thought they should have pulled the show because of Ashton Kutcher, because, well, he's Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, gosh.
And now on with the show. Please join me in welcoming Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Polite Kitty, and Ward Morrow.
Hey.
Hey.
Everyone, welcome back. How was everyone's summer?
Well, Tom, it's been so long since I've seen you. Like Beetlejuice, I said, Tom Myers, Tom Myers, Tom Myers. And there you are. So it's great to be back.
I find that I find that very heartwarming. Maybe it's just because of my age, or people, or the fact that I'm relieved that this podcast has lasted longer than the presidency of, say, William Henry Harrison or the leadership of Liz Truss. But yeah, I'm starting to feel comfortable with the camaraderie of regular podcasting now.
You're coming out strong with the Liz Truss reference within the first 5 minutes of season 4. That's why this podcast is beloved.
How's everyone else doing?
Good. Good. Glad to be back. It's been an exciting few months. We have a lot to talk about. Right before we got on, there was an AP alert about yet another piece of information coming out of New York. So yeah, this is perfect timing for you.
Well, I had a very interesting summer. As you know, I live in a very Republican area of the state. I live in a very Republican county, and a new administration took over our county government last year. It's a Republican administration succeeding a Republican administration. So you think, oh, big deal. But apparently, this Republican administration went head to head. Like the big race was in the primary against the previous Republican administration. So now it's like both the former Republican administration and the new one are throwing shades at each other. So basically, myself and the rest of the Democrats in Harford County, Maryland, are basically just waiting until they like literally cannibalize each other, until they're literally feasting on each other's remains. And I'm just excited about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mini version of Congress. Like it's like you have your own representation in Harford County of what's happening in Congress.
Please do. Please feast.
Congress. I was thinking it's more like an 8 Mile. Someone's going to drop the mic at some point and pull somebody's pants down.
We'd be so lucky.
Alan Dershowitz says any lawyer who agrees to represent Donald Trump is going on what is tantamount to a suicide mission, which makes sense because 5 minutes around a Trump supporter makes someone want to commit suicide. Having Donald Trump as one of your clients is the equivalent of a gun range owner, placing himself where the paper target should be before everyone starts firing. I'm beginning to think that Donald Trump believes if he gets so many indictments, they're like a punch card, and he gets a free Big Mac. Former Trump chief of staff and current Georgia co-defendant Mark Meadows keeps telling reporters that he doesn't talk about J6. That's because if he says J6 3 times, like Beetlejuice, Donald Trump appears and shoves a 3-wood up his ass. Former White House staffer Cassidy Hutchinson revealed in her new book that during Trump's January 6th speech, Rudy Giuliani groped her. Between her and the other female Giuliani staffers complaining, I have a theory that Rudy Giuliani thinks his erect penis is one of the Twin Towers, and he's desperately trying to keep it from collapsing.
Oh.
It's the first episode of the new season. I'm warming up. If Donald Trump is found guilty, then it will be a major historical event. He will become the first former president of the United States to not commit suicide in prison. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat there. I have a theory that Donald Trump is secretly looking forward to prison as he has run out of people on the outside to sexually assault. Of course, the root of all of this may be that Donald Trump was never a dog owner. That's because I have a theory that he views the role of a dog similar to the role of his wives. Obedient, they speak when spoken to, and when they die, he buries them on his golf course. So, Ward, one of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and bring you on was because of your political knowledge of what's going on in the legal system. Do you think we could actually see a televised trial of not only a former president of the United States, but what's the likelihood that he'll be convicted and have to serve some kind of time, even if it's home confinement or an actual prison sentence?
I was a prosecutor for 10 years, and I got to tell you, I think if I had 91 indictments on somebody and had to go to trial on a bunch of them because they didn't want to plead guilty to anything, I think I could win one, right? I mean, and one is all it takes. So it depends on what the one is. If nothing else, the Georgia trial apparently is going to be televised. And it's almost going to be like a Ken Burns episode. I mean, it's going to be like, the Trump years, and you're just going to have everybody seemingly that he's ever worked closely with come forward. I'm not sure who's going to ultimately be representing him in all these cases, because I got to tell you, it gives you a new title. If you decide to work for Trump, first off, you're probably not going to get paid. And secondly, they're going to start calling you a co-defendant at some point. So I don't think anybody in their right mind wants to represent Donald Trump, or at least if they do, they want their money up front.
Or the title disbarred. Like that could be.
Well, Tom, on Tuesday in New York, as we record this, judge ruled that the former guy persistently, this is from the New York Times, persistently committed fraud by inflating the value of his assets, talking about properties, not anything else, and stripped the former president of control over some of his signature New York properties. This is a major victory for Attorney General Letitia James in her lawsuit against Mr. Trump, effectively deciding that no trial was needed to determine that he had fraudulently secured favorable terms on loans and insurance deals. So what the judge is doing is saying that there's no need to discuss this at trial. We're just going to get to the penalty phase right away. It's pretty clear. It's clear up front. We don't need to litigate it. And that's a big, a decisive blow against him, against Trump.
Well, you brought up a very interesting point in that, like, the other kind of asset inflation. The other kind of asset inflation case in New York has to do with the Stormy Daniels payment, just to keep her quiet about that. So,
yes.
And Jeff, is that just so that's felony? But there's no time. That's money.
Yeah, that I think that's what do you think, Ward?
I thought there was also, but I don't think he was charged with it. The Federal Election Commission kind of crimes there that, he was making a campaign payment. But yeah, I think a lot of this stuff is going to be money. Some of the early stuff, the little stuff might be some probations, but I got to think that there's a lot more that we still don't know, like with the files in Mar-a-Lago. Exactly what was some of the stuff. I mean, we know kind of some of the stuff is super top secret stuff. Some of it they can't really let out of the bag still, but I mean, as they do, I feel like, normal people kind of go, oh, you're kidding. Like you've got to, this is crazy. You've got to really do something here. And then you talk to and I have a couple of friends that I still see on Facebook and whatnot who are very conservative that love Trump. And it's like, what gets them upset was if, Barack Obama had a tan suit or his wife had a sleeveless dress, and they're apoplectic about that. But Trump is inviting the Russians into the White House and giving them secrets. And that's just, that's just politics. Everybody does it. I'm pretty sure everybody doesn't do that.
No.
And if they do, somebody like Menendez, I mean, I know Trump had the golden showers. Apparently Menendez has the golden bricks that, he's got all over his home. But the Democrats are lining up going, yeah, he pretty much should resign and get out of Dodge. And yeah, nobody's supporting him. But, some of these Republicans are like, I don't care if Trump's a sexual offender. I don't care if he's given secrets to the Russians. I don't care if he's been indicted 91 times for multiple felonies. He's my choice for president. Who are these people?
Yeah, well, they're racist, Ward, because anybody else that looked different, that did any piece of that, they wouldn't support. So there's nothing else you can say because he has nothing substantial. He doesn't stand for anything. So here's my thing. Since it's all going to probably, for these anyway, come down to some money, if he puts Bedminster and all these other things in the names of children or whatever, does he just never have to pay?
And I'm glad Ward's on the show. As we record this, I found out that, Trump went out and purchased a gun at an armory shop. So how does that play into all this?
And then in the end, he didn't. But, Hunter Biden, has a gun thrown away and we're, charging him with a felony and going crazy. Trump's standing there, holding the gun saying, yeah, I think I'd like to buy this. Well,
I think, though, that they may have just found a way to get like a conservative or a Republican or a Trump supporter, like if they're facing criminal charges, they finally found a way to get them to stop buying a gun. And that is someone's whispered in their ear, you can no longer post about Hunter Biden. Oh, okay. Maybe I don't need this vanity piece that has my name on it. It makes sense that the first mugshots of the Trump defendants were taken in Georgia, at least from a historical perspective. When this country was first founded, we sent all of our criminals to Georgia. The defense in the Georgia case wants to request that potential jurors answer questionnaires. The judge made sure that it would not be a requirement to the jurors, meaning they would be the first jury questionnaires in the history of American jurisprudence to answer every question, fuck off. In this clip, a bar full of people await the moment when the first ever mugshot of a former president of the United States is broadcast for all the world to see.
To show it to our audience now. This is just a striking image too.
I've seen less excitement in a bar in Timonium when the Ravens eke out a victory.
It's the best.
It's like when the Mariners win for the first time.
It's better than a sports ball game, as I call them. Yay.
It makes me nervous that older Americans still continue to support Donald Trump, who is pretty much threatening to end democracy in this country as we know it. But not surprising. Have you ever been inside a casino? Old people love to gamble. Always one to voice their opinions, some Trump supporters old enough to be part of the ironically named silent generation give their reactions to one of their heroes' indictments, as we can see in this clip.
Doesn't matter to me. Not at all.
I think it's a bunch of bull. Trump ain't done that. Wrong thing Trump done is saved this country.
They're not going to let it stop. They can't stand the fact that he's running for president. And I am a Donald Trump fan.
It's probably altered, but it's just typical liberal propaganda.
None of the Republican voters CNN spoke with had read the indictment.
No, I wouldn't waste my time on a phony indictment. I don't care about the indictment. You could indict a bologna sandwich. What he did is incorrect, absolutely incorrect. But the system allowed it to happen. The system is broken. It needs to be fixed.
The convention also drew a handful of anti-Trump protesters, co-opting one of his most popular catchphrases in this quick moment of tension.
Yes, sir. Lock you up. Yeah, you had. You support Hillary Clinton. She done a lot wrong. You're an idiot.
I think Trump is the best president we've ever had, and I'm all about getting him reelected.
It's nice to see the guy from the Angry Grandpa videos is doing well.
Would you vote for a bologna sandwich for president?
I would vote for a bologna sandwich. Honestly, can we try the bologna sandwich instead? Because it would cost the taxpayers a lot less money.
I keep hearing about, you can indict a bologna sandwich. I indicted thousands of people. I never indicted a bologna sandwich. And I can guarantee you, if I did, I wouldn't have brought it to trial. I don't know who these people are. I keep coming back to that, but it's just, you listen to these people and they're like, oh, well, his recording, well, that could be made up. Oh, the video, well, maybe he made it up. His confession, oh, he didn't mean it. I mean, what is evidence to these people?
It's a cult. And I think if you belong to a cult and your leader is telling you whatever, then that's your nourishment. You are fed that, and they don't listen or watch anything else that gives them new information, right? So wherever they're getting their information, OAN or Fox or wherever they're getting it, it has one message from the leader, who their leader of their cult. So they don't even hear this other stuff. So it's almost sad. I mean, yeah, it's super funny and ridiculous, and you're like, what? But it's just more like sad.
The only reason they allow Donald Trump to hang out in the Versailles Bakery is because most of the customers there don't know what he's saying. Trump and the customers do have one major thing in common, though: English not being their first language. On the other hand, he's different from a lot of the Cuban exiles that hang out there, as he would likely sink the raft all by himself. In this clip, a reporter faces an unruly reaction when she tries to get a reaction from Donald Trump shortly after his indictment in the Florida case.
President Trump, are you ready to go to jail? President Trump!
Get out, you stupid.
And that was a reporter for Sky News, which it's a Rupert Murdoch owned operation. So it's not exactly like they're not exactly progressive apologists. So just imagine what would happen if that were like NBC or CNN or one of those organizations.
They think that how could he possibly have lost because everybody supports him? And I'm like, it's a small crowd of crazies that seem to support him, and maybe not that small a crowd. I mean, if you think about it, even before Donald Trump, we had, the Tea Party people. That was long before Trump. I mean, but of course we had the Klan long before we had Trump too. And, I mean, there are crazy people that there were certainly, lots of anti-Semites early before World War II, and certainly after as well. But I mean, there is an element out there that is just extremist weird. And when Trump jacks that up with, we should kill the chief of staff, General Milley. I mean, that's scary stuff.
The hypocrisy is just amazing because they asked a very valid question. That's all it was a question. But I guarantee if we were talking about Hunter Biden, they would be cheering and applauding.
Spoiler alert, I think he is afraid of going to jail. And that's why that crowd answered his question for him.
Yeah, it's like a strange sort of Stockholm syndrome. And I don't think that's something that is understood. I don't know how to undo. I would like to know a Trump supporter, not intimately, but more personally, and then unravel how they started out being a Trump supporter and then came into the light eventually. And I would like to, what's inside your head? Like, how did you, and what was the thing, the final thing, right, that made you finally see? And I want to study them like a science experiment.
Well, I don't know if you know this, Gina. There's a jail down in Washington, D.C. I believe you can find a few people down there who fit that description.
Let me see if I can get on the visitor list and rotate through.
Look, I'm a professional therapist. I actually do this for a living. And even I look at them and go, I don't understand what's going on here.
Former Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake has had quite a career, considering she looks like someone took one of Satan's minions, gave them a wig, makeup, and notoriety as a local TV news reporter. In this clip, Kari Lake gives us her prediction about the 2024 election results.
We're at war, people. If you want to get to President Trump, you're going to have to go through me, and you're going to have to go through 75 million Americans just like me. And I'm going to tell you, most of us are card-carrying members of the NRA. That's not a threat. That's a public service announcement.
I'm like, I look at all the hate I've taken on social media, and I'm like, okay, that seems mild by comparison.
75 million, that's a number.
75 million of us have guns, but that's not a threat.
It's not a threat.
And also, the U.S. government, they also have guns, and they also have things like drones and tanks and even more powerful weapons.
And, not all Republicans aren't the only people with guns. Not that, Dems are running around throwing them in people's faces, but Repubs.
Speak for yourself, Gina. I mean, I'm happy to.
I don't have one, but I definitely know a lot of people who do.
That's because we're smart. See, we actually conceal them and not tell anyone we have them. It's like going around saying, I have a bunch of drugs and they're right here.
Right, exactly.
All politicians and candidates for office rely on walk-up music once they are introduced to the crowd But Trump seems to put too much into his song choices, as is demonstrated here.
From the lakes of Minnesota, let's listen to that song. Across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
What you don't see at the end of that video is he had to rush to get to the podium because he was about to orgasm after hearing that song.
So gross. He's like the irony is he's like the anti-American patriot, like just from businesses abroad to like not serving, he's the opposite.
Right. His companies, even before he threatened to run for office, were making clothes in China.
Well, and then when he tells General Kelly at Arlington Cemetery about General Kelly's son, that, they're all suckers, and what was in it for them? I mean, and then he's proud to be an American. Well, I think an awful lot of people in Arlington are turning over in their graves, and their families would be too. I mean, they often said that the left were all anti-military, anti-law enforcement. Not anymore. I mean, if you're pro-military or pro-FBI and law enforcement intelligence community, you can't possibly be supporting this guy.
And on that note, that's our show. I want to thank Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Polite Kitty, and Ward Morrow. But before we go, a final thought. Rose Montoya, a TikTok influencer, was banned from the White House after she photographed herself topless on the White House lawn. That's a surprising action for the White House to take, considering all the exposed boobs that have previously occupied the Oval Office. The real crime here is that she missed an opportunity to post, along with a photo, "My name is Rose Montoya. You saw my tatas. Prepare to cry." I learned many things over our summer break. For instance, no one likes it when you comment Happy Pride Month on MMA videos on YouTube. I also learned we should all have the freedom to express ourselves how we like. For example, there is a fan at Orioles games who dresses in orange and white robes dressed like Jesus. Of course, he's immediately more popular than the other orange Jesus who goes by another title, the 45th President of the United States. The fan dressed as Orioles Jesus gives me a solution that will benefit all Orioles fans. If the Orioles lose their playoff run, then the only condition for the Angelos family to keep ownership of the team would be to nail John Angelos to a cross and force him to sing a karaoke of Always Look on the Bright Side of Life with James Corden. After which, we gladly trade him to get Brooks Robinson back.
Aww.
Good night. This episode was written and hosted by Tom Myers with panelists Jeff Hysen, Gina Brown, Polite Kitty, and Ward Morrow. Theme music composed and arranged by Jeroen van den Hurck. Executive producers Tom Myers, Matt Connarton for ipmNation, and Eddie Carson for Odyssey Radio. Please leave a 5-star rating and a positive review on Apple Podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast's Patreon for early access to these episodes, extended episodes, bonus clips, and more. Thank you for listening, and please visit tommyers.us.